Hello, good morning and welcome to this edition of News Desk with me, Bernice Abubedu-Lanza. In our headlines, for our Dialysis Crisis series today, we tell you the story of 15-year-old Priscilla, who misses classes twice a week for dialysis amidst a crushing financial burden on her family.
My mom and dad do not have money either.
We have details as hospital authorities narrate how relatives of patients sometimes instruct them to take them off the machines because they can't afford the cost of dialysis. Meanwhile, medical superintendents demand government pays realistic salaries to skilled health workers as they describe this year's brain drain as the worst in the country's history.
I can tell you that there are facilities that are losing about 20 to 30% of their quality staff every year. This is more severe this particular year.
And later, over 45 out of 117 schools arrive at the KNUST campus ahead of the preliminary stage of the NSMQ 2023.
Our Father, bless our school, bless our works and bless our play.
So it's in between easy and difficult. It's not really difficult, but it's not also very easy.
So right now we are coming with our A game on and expect the best from us.
Got all these and more here on News Desk. Please stay with us. On your digital television and around the world at myjoyonline.com. Today we start with our Dialysis Crisis series as we delve into the harrowing stories that unfold not only in hospitals but at very core families torn apart. It's a story that paints the agonizing choice of families of patients between witnessing their loved ones slip away or embarking on a desperate quest for money to keep them on the dialysis machine. Richard Kojunyako shares the story of 15-year-old Priscilla, who misses class twice a week just to be on a dialysis machine. And that's not all. Her family is also crashing financially, and this is threatening to tear apart the fragile threads that exist.
The humming sound of medical equipment here at the renal unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital welcoming patients. It's a Tuesday morning and 15-year-old Priscilla is being wheeled into the renal unit here.
The doctors told me I have to be on the machine, and I have to be on that machine either twice or thrice a week.
For now, she has to travel nearly 100 kilometers from Chifu Mampong with her mother to the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital every Tuesday and Thursday to have her dialysis session.
My mom and dad do not have money either. We have become miserable. I am appealing to the government to help me live through this. Otherwise, I may die.
Priscilla, a junior high school pupil, now carries a weight much heavier than her school bag. Her daily battle now is not with textbooks and homework, but with the relentless adversary, renal failure.
I want the government to support me so I can live to fulfill my dream of becoming a nurse.
The burden of her illness has not only taken a toll on her fragile body, but has shattered her world due to the family's precarious financial situation.
They said that could be 3.5.
They say every section is 350 cedis. And this in addition to getting blood and other medication.
Priscilla's mother, Ruth Ofori, has been a pillar of strength for her daughter and is determined to ensure her only daughter lives. With teary eyes, she shares the story of her family's headache, struggling to cope with the emotional and financial strain that comes with caring for her only daughter battling renal failure.
From the doctors, if I keep on missing this section, I may lose my daughter. And I need the help of the government.
Her voice quivers as she recounts the sleepless nights and endless hospital visits, each one a reminder of their uphill climb. But Priscilla is not alone in this fight. Thomas Vincent Khan has lived with kidney diseases for a decade.
The people who came could not survive just a week or even a month. So for me to survive it all these 10 years, it's really been a tough one.
For Thomas, the thought of heading to the dialysis machine is not just physically draining, it's also a haunting financial specter. The towering cost of dialysis looms over him like a relentless shadow, casting doubt and despair. Thomas speaks of the silent tragedy he has witnessed over the years, a grim parade of 100 busloads of people who have lost their lives to kidney failure because they lack the financial means to access dialysis treatments.
Most of the time, it's not easy always chasing people or asking people for help because it is very difficult to sustain. For instance, if somebody gives you 1,000 to help you, you can't go to the person every day or every now and then to ask for the same help. And this is a disease that you always have to be coming to the hospital. Without that funding, you can't come for dialysis. And here is a case that it is a pay as you go. So it means that if you don't have money, you can't come for dialysis. And like I mentioned, there are people who have died because they cannot have the money to come for dialysis. And to tell you the truth, there are lots of the people we have lost, not because of the disease, but just the thought of finding money to come to the hospital. That alone has killed them. If there was any support for them, if they had the money, I'm sure they would have been here by now, and then perhaps be coming to dialysis just to sustain or manage the situation. But unfortunately, because there is no money to support them, we have lost all of them.
Each one, a story of unfulfilled dreams and shattered hopes, adds to the weight of despair that Thomas carries.
We wish that we'll have a strong funding to support our clients, those who are the vulnerable ones. Some are unable to pay even for a session of dialysis.
Chrissy Brown has worked in the renal unit of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital for 20 years. Over the period, he's seen many families come to him, instructing him to take their relatives from the machine to go home and die, a situation that breaks his heart.
You won't believe it. There are some who even come in, and they come in, tell you that now we don't have money to come anymore, and so please take off the catheter for us to go home. Because they can't, they just don't know how to get the next, the idea is to go home and die. You understand? It's sad, but if we have a fund in place, then from that fund we can support. Sometimes people, transportation from their places to this place itself is also a challenge, in itself. Once the transport fares are going up, it becomes problematic for them.
It's a story of Priscilla, Thomas, and countless others here who bear the heavy burden of kidney diseases. It's a stark reminder that the battle against renal failure is not only fought in hospitals and clinics, but in the hearts and homes of individuals and families who continue to grapple with its physical, emotional, and financial toll. Richard Kwejo Nyako for JoyNews.
We stay a while on our dialysis crisis agenda because the National Health Insurance Authority has hinted of a decision to consider adding dialysis treatment to the NHIS. The country representative of the World Health Organization, Dr. Francis Chisaka Kasolo, says the expansion of the NHIS to encompass treatment of renal diseases is key to averting deaths. His plea follows a public outcry triggered by a significant rise in the cost of dialysis treatment at the renal unit of the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, which was later reversed. Dr. Kasolo stressed the urgent need for increased investment in the health insurance scheme to provide the much-needed financial relief for individuals who cannot afford the treatment.
As WHO, we work with the government, and we're working, for example, with also the National Health Insurance Scheme to ensure that sufficient revenues are collected to mitigate what we call out-of-pocket expenditure. And for us, as long as we have a strong health insurance system which collects revenue, and that revenue is channeled into mitigating the cost of care, we see no reason why we should really be having increasing out-of-pocket allowance, because the health insurance should cushion the poor, and that's why the health insurance, for instance, is there. So our message is that we need to support the national health insurance, ensure a lot of people are enrolled on the national health insurance, and also that money that is raised through the health insurance levies is channeled back in mitigating the high cost of healthcare. And if that works, we will not have what would call an increased out-of-pocket allowance or payment from the citizenry. I think it's difficult to say because cost of healthcare across the world has generally been moving up for all sorts of reasons. So we need to see and discuss with the colleagues who are in the for example, Kolebu, to understand the reason for the increase. But like I mentioned, if our health insurance is strong, it can mitigate the cost of even renal care if the renal care is one of the on the benefit package of the health insurance. So it is for us to really support the health insurance and to ensure that services such as renal services are included in the benefit package of the health insurance to mitigate the out-of-pocket expenditures that we are beginning to see increase. And if that works, then we will have solved part of the problem of increasing out-of-pocket expenditure that we see with the dialysis cost.
So for our dialysis crisis, we will be keeping you updated on all the major stories that come up. But tomorrow we'll be having a major program on that, and we'll be letting you in on all the speakers that will be speaking at that event, focusing on kidney issues here in Ghana. But still on health, medical superintendents are demanding government pays realistic salaries to skilled health workers. This is after the increase in mass exodus of doctors. President of the association, Dr. Kamaruddin Hussein, says the situation has reached unprecedented level, with certain healthcare facilities witnessing the departure of 20 to 30% of their experienced medical doctors. Speaking at the inaugural ceremony of the 21st Annual Conference of Medical Superintendents in Accra, Dr. Hussein described this year's brain drain as the worst in the country's history.
I can tell you that there are facilities that are losing about 20 to 30% of their quality staff every year. This is more severe this particular year. So it is something that I mentioned that we need to actually start working towards, and then we need to stop that. Or else all these beautiful hospitals that we are building in the country, they will all be white elephants. So it's a serious situation. I think all of us must talk about it. I said it in my speech that everybody knows we don't need to do any research work. It is economic. It's purely economic, because all the people we talk to, they say, oh, there is something better at the other side of. There's a greener pasture somewhere, so they have to go. So that's a fact. It's purely economic. If you want to solve it, we all know if you are paying somebody 2 cedis and someone somewhere is paying 10 cedis, everybody will move to where the 10 cedis is. So how do we solve it? We need to find money and support the health workers. Pay realistic salaries to them, and then they will stay.
This is News Desk. Thank you so much for staying, and we just have to break in our regular transmission to bring you some news that is just developing. And if you may be aware, the GFA executive elections are happening today, but there's a protest, and Muftau Nabila of our sports desk is here to share more with us. What exactly is happening, Muftau?
Well, some members of the Ghana Football family, describing themselves as Ghana Football Stakeholders Forum, have decided to assemble at Akwaje and then protest against the leadership of the Ghana Football Association. They tag their protest as Rescue the GFA because they feel that the Ghana Football Association under Keto Kreku and its Executive Council, they've been horrendous in terms of their management of football in the country. And they say that they will be marching to the GFA and subsequently to the Ministry of Youth and Sports to submit a petition. So my colleague Gary R. Smith is currently with the protesters at Akwaje as they get ready to march to the grounds, which is the Ghana Football Association and the Ministry of Youth and Sports.
Right. And so, Gary, if you can hear us, just tell us what exactly is happening. And I'm just curious about why the protesters decided to do this today.
Thank you very much and good morning to you. We're at Change, where a group called Stakeholders Forum are today organizing a demonstration, a peaceful demonstration, I might add, to protest against what they are the football, the current Ghana position. Now, among the things they say, they do not. The GFA is running an autocratic regime. I believe that since Keto Kreku took charge of the GFA, there's been a lot of poor management. They believe that several landmark decisions have been taken against people who have been seen against as being against the Ghana Football Association administration. Them with placards here, including the king of match fixing in Ghana must resign and go. Now, in reference to the fact that since Ket came into office, there have been high-profile match fixing or things that have happened within the as well. Have by a couple of will be speaking was known associated with a club called Techiman City, sorry. There's all speaking to.
We are struggling with Gary's line. Terribly sorry about that. But we'll try and work the lines and get him to share exactly what's happening with us. So what does this look like? Obviously, the elections will happen, right?
Yeah, the elections will happen, and the election will happen on Thursday in Tamale. The members of the Ghana Football Association, some of them have started leaving Accra to Tamale for the election.
It was actually happening tomorrow.
Yes, actually happening
tomorrow.
I
saw notices. I thought it was today.
No,
sorry about that.
Yes, it's actually going to happen on Thursday. But one of the reasons that I've been made to understand is the fact that after October 25, the current leadership of the Ghana Football Association will not have any locus to continue to manage the affairs of football in this country. So, and with court applications for injunctions on the processes flying left, right, and center, they risk not having the elections before October 25, and that would automatically mean that Keto Kreku and the executive council members cannot hold themselves as leaders of football in the country. That is why they are proceeding to Tamale to organize the elections. Just before I came on, I had a conversation with a FIFA executive council member who was here on Monday, trying to resolve the issues that are currently happening in Ghana football. Apparently, he's a very good friend of George Friye and also a very good friend of Keto Kreku. So when he came, what he wanted to do was to find a middle ground so that the two parties can still go ahead to organize the elections without any issues. So he had a conversation. In fact, there was a meeting that happened at his hotel where I was made to understand that some proposals were tabled to George Friye so that he will not proceed to drag the matter in court. But they were not able to reach a conclusion. So, in fact, when I was speaking to the FIFA Executive Council member, he told me that he's back to his country because he doesn't want to be in his hotel room and someone will come and serve him a notice of application for injunction on the Ghana Football Association elections and all that. So he has left the country. He's gone back to his base.
Right. Thank you very much, Muftar Nabila, with our sports desk there. And when we're able to reach Gary with a more stable line, we'll bring you the concerns of these people who are protesting the presidency of Keto Kreku as Ghana Football Association president. We move on to some other stories now. There's tension at the Tema Oil Refinery this morning because the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union is demanding the immediate dissolution of the board of directors. They say they are incompetent and corrupt. We've got details as the aggrieved workers say they cannot guarantee the safety of the board members under the current circumstances. Let's cross over live now to the Tema Oil Refinery, where leadership of the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union is addressing the press.
The company are not happy with certain decisions being made by the board and management, and so they are here to address the press and tell us specifically what their concerns are.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, on this special 60th anniversary year of Tema Oil Refinery, we, the General Transport, Petroleum and Chemical Workers Union of TUC, would wish to outline the great achievement of TOR since its boards of directors were commissioned to secure a credible strategic partner for TOR some 18 months ago. Interestingly, not only is the board of directors micromanaged by Mr. Adumako, the board chairman, Mr. Apinting, and Ms. Sapara Grant, showing and demonstrated the high level of incompetence. But their continuous stay in office is a disgrace to the integrity of the appointing authority and a drain to the public purse. For their 18 months in office, these individuals have tolerated and wasted our time over an entity whose incorporated name started with Decimal Capital Vitor, then changed to Bedbridge Asset Management Limited, later to Torenco Asset Management, and now Tema Energy Processing Limited. Ladies and gentlemen, all the changes or evolution of names are screwed under the presence of a new SPV to cover one scandal or the other. A responsible citizen and a key internal stakeholder of this refinery who shares in the president's charge for citizenship and not spectators. We want to bring to your attention to the latest development with a particular entity, Torenco Asset Management Limited. As it stands now, due to the damning finding of due diligence reports, the surrogate of Torenco, wearing the clothes of TOR board, has allowed 40% to CAD investment holding, 40% to Torenco and 20% to TOR Workers Charity Trust. Some of the board, particularly Mr. Apinting and Mr. Adongo, the union chairman of UNICOF, who are part of this formation of the new company, have begun to incite our members, inducing them to break and divide the union to join UNICOF, to enable them to continue with what they are doing. This has brought a lot of anger among the workers. By this, we want to inform the authorities that they should take action to ensure peace, because we can no longer contain the anger of our people. And we can also not guarantee the safety of these individuals. Also, if an individual wants to share shares to a company, the basic line is to float your shares at the Ghana Stock Exchange for individuals and companies to take advantage of it. But it is not for a company seeking a new contract to give shares to workers. This new phenomenon of giving shares to workers is nothing to write home about, especially when the shares is dependent on profit the company makes before an individual can benefit. In this case, the new company is yet to be given a contract. So on what basis or what profit can be shared or a percentage to a worker? We want to state that we will not be used as a channel to seek for their contract. What we want the state is that per the due diligence report, they don't have the financial capability, the technical know-how, anything whatsoever to secure the contract. They should revisit the report and address the issue raised in the due diligence report. Until then, we will not allow them to take over, since Torenko is the only viable entity to handle the contract. Why is management and the board not coming out openly to look for partners who are fit for the takeover, but rather doing these things clandestinely? Ladies and gentlemen, this mischievous attempt by these actors, who also double as board of the directors, not only marks conflict of interest and inducement of workers, but also an attempt to secretly reward some compromised workers' front. Fellow Ghanaians, on the blind side of the 99% of Tema oil refinery workers and executive management, some few executives of TOR, local union executive UNICOF, Abu Abbas, Bright Adongo, and their cohorts, Albert Amuakun Ajay, Scott, Sivia, and Emmanuel Abankwa, have secured an agreement with Torenko to incorporate an entity by guarantee in order to benefit from 20% shares in the new SPV, Tema Energy and Processing Limited, without recourse to workers and management. In our singular position, ladies and gentlemen, if this gesture or decision ticks the prudence, ethics, and conflict of interest boxes, shouldn't it have gone through management for a comprehensive workforce engagement and establishment of the right modality and the structures? Unless this is just a cover-up to reward this section of workers, executives, who also double as Torenko surrogate within the refinery. Ladies and gentlemen, we are by this press release pleading with His Excellency, the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to restore maturity in the corporate governance at all board level for integrity-driven decision. We are also calling on the President to dissolve this incompetent board. We equally seek to remind the executive management, especially the acting managing director, to do the needful with the evidence available to establish orderliness in TOR. If these board members, they compromise TOR UNICOF executive and their cohort, should be made to freely work in the refinery. Thank you very much, and may the good Lord bless you.
So that was the chairman of the.
So you just had the group protesting and asking for the dissolution of the board of directors. Our man Carlos Caloni is still there for us and will be finishing us with all the details, especially on what the response of management is to this particular demand. Now, banking consultant Nano Tue Champong is questioning why the minority is not holding the finance ministry accountable for the central bank's 60 billion loss, but rather venting its frustration on the governor of the Bank of Ghana. The NDC minority has vowed not to cooperate with officials of the BOG in Parliament after the central bank governor sent his head of security to receive their petition when they protested yesterday. Now, hundreds poured onto the street to back the demand for the resignation of Dr. Ernest Addison. We'll hear from Nano Tue Champong shortly. Before that, if you didn't catch the protest yesterday, here's what you may have missed.
Thank you. All right, so the minority leader will respond. Okay.
So first, let me say that I feel very disrespected as the leader of the opposition in Parliament, for a simple reason that we demanded to present a petition to the Governor of the Central Bank of the Republic of Ghana, otherwise known as the Bank of Ghana. Unfortunately, he has decided to disrespect us, and his two deputies has also decided to disrespect us by not being here and to receive our petition. We never said we are going to present our petition to the head of security or someone responsible for security, with all due respect.
Let's speak to another tongue member of parliament, Samuel Okujetu.
It's clearly a reflection of the disdain and the disregard they have for the Ghanaian people. I mean, how can you choose the IMF over the people who have employed you, over your employers, over the people you are supposed to serve? It's the height of disrespect, and it's the reason these people must go. It just tells you that they are really a bunch of administrators, leaders who simply don't care.
We all feel very much disrespected, and this speaks to the impunity with which Nana Akufo-Addo and his appointees want to run this country. But we are not handing over our petition to the head of security. It's like somebody wanting to present a petition to Parliament, to the Speaker of Parliament, and the Speaker delegates the Marshal of the head of security of Parliament to come and receive it. Okay. Is the height of disrespect.
Thank you for talking to us. You just had National Chairman of the NDC, Johnson is here in Ketia. Let's speak to Ningo Pram MP, Sam George.
I granted you an interview at Obra, and I told you that Ernest Edison is a coward. Do you remember? I said he was a coward and that he won't show up. So I'm not surprised. But I am disrespected. I am offended that he will send the watchman, the gate man, the security man, to come and receive a petition.
Hundreds of police officers were deployed here to ensure order at today's Occupy the BOG protest. The protest has ended, and as you can see, the Inspector General of Police, Dr. George Kufuor-Dampare, is here congratulating his men for a job well done. We've been with them since morning. We've not seen any police officer carrying arms. None of them I've seen carrying arms at the protest, just wearing their route control gear, ensuring order. There was no confrontation at any point. The only disagreement was the use of the Castle Road. But some protesters wanted to use the Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, but eventually the minority leader, Dr. Castle Atuforse, managed to de-escalate the situation. To the IGP, George Kufuor-Dampare, Dr. George Kufuor-Dampare is here congratulating his men for a job well done.
Let's go. Come on. Because there are many, eh? Yes, I'm good. Good job.
That's Maxwell Agbaba wrapping it all up with some of the major interviews he had after the minority reached the BOG and their petition was not delivered because they insisted on handing it over to the governor himself. While reacting to it on PM Express last night, banking consultant Mr. Otwe Champon explained the losses incurred by the BOG were abnormal and not deliberate, describing the protest as unnecessary.
Their concern is about the 60 billion loss, which is a technical loss in the sense that DDP, what they did was to change the financial structure of the bonds. Once you change the financial structure, then by accounting standard IFRS 9, you have to make provision for the impairment, which is in layman's language, provision for a loss. Gladly, the person leading the charge in the minority is a chartered accountant and is aware of this technicality, that it wasn't a normal activity loss, but it was an abnormal technical loss caused by the accounting standard. So yes. Why are we wasting so much of our time don't let us confuse the financing side with the paper accounting that we have here. So that 60 billion has nothing to do with this financing issue.
But I get that, but I'm talking specifically about the zero financing challenge that we've seen, which what I'm just talking about, that overexposure. That's what I'm talking about now. Yes.
Now that one we have, you yourself provided the figures that there was zero financing in 17, 18, 19, and 21. It was only in 2020 that there was no zero financing. Now
also in 2022. Also in 2022.
Yeah, because of IMF. Yeah. So the 2021 COVID is accepted, but I mean the legislators are there. They know what should have happened. Is it the Bank of Ghana which has to make the application, or the Ministry of Finance? Bank of Ghana doesn't stand on this own. They stand under Ministry of Finance. So if they have a beef, then I would have thought that the gun should be directed at the Ministry of Finance, but not at Bank of Ghana, because they are under the ministry. So if they have to go to Parliament to seek any breach of the law as an exception, then there is the ministry which will do that, but not Bank of Ghana.
Well, in response on the same program, Baku Central MP Mahama Yarga, who's already invoked the powers of the special prosecutor to investigate this matter, disagreed with the banking consultant. He insists the central bank governor has been incompetent.
The Bank of Ghana Act imposes a responsibility on the central bank to be an advisor to the government on financial matters, fiscal matters, monetary policy. The central bank is supposed to be advising. Now, what he is telling me is that, or telling all of us, is that we should not hold the Bank of Ghana responsible for the financial mess that the Ministry of Finance has caused, which has overexposed the central bank. And then when the finance minister decided to do DDE, and then he willingly accepted and forfeited his monies in the process, he ran into that loss, and therefore we should not hold him accountable. That's clearly unacceptable. First and foremost, his failure in advising government not to create the financial mess that has ultimately affected the central bank itself is something that we should be holding him accountable for. And so far as we are concerned, the law says that he should come and inform Parliament. And I don't know where and in which law he's been told that the central bank is under the Minister of Finance. If you go to the Constitution, the central bank is not under the Minister of Finance. Central bank is an independent institution, given all the protection under the Constitution. And the law that we are dealing with, the Bank of Ghana Act, is very clear. It says that he should come and inform Parliament himself in a development like that. So in all respects, the central bank governor has violated the law. In every respect, he has been incompetent. In every respect, he has run a loss. Yes, in the past, he made profits, 1.5 billion, 1.4 billion. Now, if you have been making profit of 1.4 billion, 1.5 billion, and then ultimately, 1 year, you lose 60 billion. I mean, totally undoing everything else that you have done.
Now, away from that story, President Akufo-Addo is calling on traditional rulers to take a stance against illegal mining. Interior Minister Ambrose Derry, reading a speech on his behalf at the celebration of the Wala Dumba, urged traditional rulers to use their powers to drive home the message of the environment not being for sale. JoyNews' Upper West Regional Correspondent Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
There has never been a time in the 15-year history of the reign of the Wala Overlord, now Hussein CDP Report 4, that his close family members and associates will love the temporary scrapping of the crossing over the cow to clamor the Demba Festival than today. The occupant of the over century-year-old iconic palace for some time has been unwell and appears to be weak, frail, and pale for such an onerous mandatory yearly tax. First daughter of the overlord, Princess Barkisu Fuseni Pelpu, just held back her tears and shared her disconsolation. We are not always happy considering the sea of people always around to see whether he will fail to cross over the cow or not. Apart from that, he's old and unwell and even has mobility challenges. If he was a young man, he would easily jump over the cow, but in this case, he's an old man. He has lots of people under him and they look up to him for survival, and that's why we are crying. Priscilla lamented. Now, Hussein said to Pelpo the fourth, however, gathered momentum, knowing the consequences should he refuse to undertake the tax or fail in crossing over the cow. Dressed in a faded red smock, replete with 4 talismans pinned to his chest, was led by representatives from all the 12 recognized sects in Wa, including his warriors. He sounded around. Many had their hearts in their mouths when the drums were sounded for the last, signaling him to cross over the cow. Amid the tension, anxiety, and the tears from the midst of the people here, the overlord crossed over the cow successfully for the 15th time. A representative of the British High Commissioner to Ghana, Paul Edwards, who was among the crowd, was happy with what he saw.
Very, very joyous that he managed to do that, and so it was again a pleasure for me to be a part of this. And you felt the celebration when it happened, and of course everybody was happy.
So when I was about to cross over the cow, were you having some butterflies in your stomach?
I think everybody did, didn't they? Everybody wanted it to succeed, and of course it did. So we were all very, very happy.
Meanwhile, Interior Minister Ambrose there is speaking on behalf of President Akufo-Addo, underscored the important role played by traditional rulers in complementing the effort of the government to possibly change the lives of the people. He therefore called on the traditional authorities to take a firm stance against illegal mining.
As we gather here today, I call upon our traditional authorities to take a firm stance against illegal mining. Let us use the power and respect of our chieftaincy institutions. Command to drive home the message that our environment is not for sale, and that the short-term gains of illegal mining cannot outweigh the long-term cost to our communities.
He noted that safety and security of citizens remains the top priority of the government, citing the influx of foreign nationals into the Upper region, warning that the country's security is on high alert and won't countenance any deviant behavior.
And we will not allow any deviant individuals to take advantage of this situation to infiltrate and perpetuate nefarious activities in our beloved country. Koro Chairman, as you are aware, no nation can develop without the prevalence of peace and stability. Only when the wind of peace and tranquility blows through the length and breadth of the country can it achieve growth and development.
Working for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And here in our studios in Kokomlemle and Bernice Abubeidu-Lansa, we take a quick breather now, but when I come back, I'll be telling you what Omni Basic Bank has been doing to ensure that its staff remain healthy and also create a better bond with customers. Do stay for that. Staying here on News Desk with me, Bernice Abubeidu-Lansa, and Omni Basic Bank has reiterated its continuous use of its periodic health work to bond with customers of the bank. According to Omnibasic, this is also aimed at improving the health of its staff. That's more in the following report.
The walk, which happened over the weekend, was organized by the bank to champion the need for staff to exercise regularly to promote healthy living and also create a corporate bond. Over 1,000 management employees and customers embarked on the 10-kilometer walk, which commenced at Burma Camp Sports Complex and ended at the same venue for an aerobic session. Speaking to the media, Managing Director of Omnibasic, Daniel Siedu, said the consistency of the exercise has made the bank win an award.
Like you can see, it's been a very successful health walk, just like the previous ones. And we are excited. I want to say a big thank you to our customers and our partners for joining us. I mean, indeed, they continue to keep faith with us. And we are grateful to every one of you who has come to participate. The numbers, we are in our thousands, and this is the best that you can have in this market. No wonder you have been recognized by the African Event Awards as the best health walk for 2023, and this is the award here. As at the time we received this award, we had only done 2 health walks. And there have been previous health walks in this market or in this country. But yet, with just 2 that we did, we were recognized as the best health walk. 4, 3, 2, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3.
And before I go, let me just bring you a quick update on NSFU 2023. I hope you are as excited as I am because preparations are ongoing for the preliminary contest to begin. The 30th edition, which initially, the quiz had initially over 500 schools, has now narrowed down to 147 for the nationals. 117 of them are expected to be participating at the preliminary stage. Schools that arrived on the Kenya University campus tell my colleague Jacqueline and Sumaya Boa they are poised for action.
It's that time where all the schools converge at one place for the National Science and Maths Quiz. We are right here at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, where we have about 56 schools arriving for the preliminary contest of the 2023 edition of the National Science and Maths Quiz. So let's have an interaction with most of the students who are arriving today to get to know the expectations, how far and how well they have prepared for this contest.
Me here, I have students from St. Monica's Secondary School. Hello, ladies. How are you?
Yeah, fine. Thank you.
You look like you're shy. You're here starting with the preliminaries. How well are you prepared for it? I'll start with you.
We are well prepared and we are just hoping for the best because we have been learning throughout for almost 3 years now, and then we are hoping that it will come out well for us.
All right. But my big question, any school here that you see as a threat to the competition that you're about to contest for? Because sometimes you'd be like, hey, this school is like, we might not be able to conquer them. But let me know, which school do you think is a threat to you?
Well, for me, it's Yellow Kobo, but we are hoping that...
Yellow Kobo. Why Yellow Kobo?
Looking at their performance at the regional championship, they did really well. They were very impressive. It's kind of like a threat.
A threat to you. All right, what about you? Do you think it's so Yellow Kobo?
Yes.
Okay, what about you?
Okay, me, I don't really have a threat in terms of the schools. I believe we are going to face the questions. So if the questions are suitable for us, then we are winning. We don't have any threat.
I've got a couple of them. It's not a couple. All the contestants are here. So can you tell me your name? I'll start with you.
Butchie Bright.
Bright and?
James Guest.
And? Steven. Okay. Can you give it to him?
Steven.
All right. So how has it been for you so far? Last year you got to the preliminary stage. You got knocked out. This year you are back. What is different this time around? Let me start with you.
Oh, we are hoping you should qualify from the prelims to 1/8 or quarterfinals. That's why we are here.
Not the main finale. You don't want to qualify for the main finale.
Oh, if by the God grace we qualify there, we will thank that God who helped us.
Okay. You contested 3 years ago. How was it for you? How has it been? Wait, how has life been for you? Normal. It didn't come with any pressure and all that.
No.
But what were some of the lessons that you learned? Which was 3 years ago?
2 years.
2 years ago, 2021. So how has it been for you so far?
Actually, it was the first time for the school. So preparation wasn't all that easy. Yeah, so but we did our best by qualifying from the zone.
Now, yeah, at least was that your first time?
Yes, please.
And then that was quite a pressure on you, wasn't it? Or it wasn't that much of a pressure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Being here for the first time, pressure was there although, but not all that much.
Okay. All right. And where are you now? Do you pursue your science and maths? Because usually there's this argument that most of the times when we are done, we don't really hear of them. But I'm glad I met you today. What have you been up to?
Right now, I'm currently at UMAT.
Okay.
Pursuing mining engineering.
That's great. All right.
Our Father, bless our soul.
You know, this is the station to stay glued to for everything NSMQ, and we will be starting the preliminary stages later this week, the competitions of the preliminary stage later this week, so we'll be bringing you all the updates. But thank you so much for joining me on this edition of News Desk. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as JoyNews on TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day and stay with us here on your most credible news source.